Hey, Mark with High Energy Labs. I have an amazing guest, Kendra, on the show. We are going to be talking about health, nutrition, diet. She's a bodybuilder as well as a nutritionist and a personal trainer. It's going to be an awesome show. Thanks for being on the show.
No
Stay
problem. I'm
tuned.
glad to be here.
Awesome. Thanks for being on the show. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Okay, welcome back, guys. Today, I just want to jump right into it. I really appreciate you being here.
Sure.
We met at the gym at the Fit Stop, and I saw that you were like training. I overheard a conversation about you training for an event. And tell us a little bit about that, like how that went. It was a bodybuilding event, right?
Yeah, so I've been competing in the NPC, specifically the figure division.
Right.
This is my third year. I just did my fifth show. I've done 4 local and 1 national level show.
And you were looking at going pro too, you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, so that's how you turn pro, is by placing usually first or second at a national level show.
I've been to a few of those. Not competed in them, but just been to
just watched.
Yeah.
They're fun. So I did that last year. I was 7th. So then I was going to attempt to come back this year.
Right.
I did another local show in April, and now I'm just kind of seeing where things go from there.
But by the way, guys, this girl gets it at the gym. Man, I watched her train, and I'm like just amazed at how much weight that you throw down.
Thank
you know,
you.
for your height, and I'm just like, holy cow! And she's ripped, she's shredded.
Not so much,
as you can tell.
I am very small. I'm about 5'2.5".
Really?
So yeah,
Awesome.
People that don't ever meet me in real person, they see like my Instagram and stuff, and they think I'm just like massive, and then they see me in person, they're like,
because you got guns.
Oh my God, you're so small.
and you got good muscles. That's awesome. Fit is the new sexy, right?
For sure.
So, let's go to let's talk a little bit. Like, what are you doing right now? As far as you mentioned that you're just as far as your training program. I guess what I want to address is I want to tell people. People probably have a lot of questions. By the way, if you guys have any questions out there, feel free to ask. And just and if you're watching this later when it's not streaming, feel free to leave any comments, and either one of us will get back to you.
Yeah, you can message me.
You're on Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff.
Instagram and Facebook.
Well, they'll be able to see the link, and you'll be tagged here, so they'll be able to ask questions on the stream, as well as on the after it's done, so it stays on there. But anyways, what I wanted to address is, like, say the average person, they're like, okay, you being a personal trainer as well as a bodybuilder, the average person, it's like, what do they do, and how do they get into it? Because obviously a lot of times, here's what I've found over the years, like I'll go work out with friends or different people, and they really haven't worked out sometimes, and they get so beat up the first time, they're like, I'm done. I don't ever want to work out again, because they try to keep up with you. And so the thing is, start out easy, and then proper form, we've addressed that. So what I want to do is talk about nutrition and about food and what you do and why that's so important.
Okay.
So talk about the training, talk about the food, kind of the whole gamut.
As a competitor, or as
kind of
regular person?
As a regular person. I mean, people want to know, they want to relate to what you do as a competitor as well. But so how do they get to be fit? How do they put on more muscle? How do we lose the fat? And how do we get to that stage? And there may be some people out there that want to compete. There may be other people just going, look, I just want to look good. I just want to look good. I want to feel better. What do I need to do?
Who doesn't?
Yeah.
So I think ultimately the two most important things are to, like you said, start small and easy. You've got to build these new habits that you're not used to doing. If you haven't worked out in 5 years, you can't expect yourself to come into
jump
a
right
gym
back into it
and work out for 5 days a week and expect that to stick. So you got to build everything up slowly, let it become a habit.
So if someone's starting, because I don't know, I've been doing it for so long, it's that I'm going 4 or 5 times a week. Mm-hmm. But where should the average person start at as far as how many times? I mean, they could go every day as long as they're going light.
Yeah, I think just the most important thing is to make it sustainable for you.
Yeah.
So if you think that you can stick to 2 days a week, then do that. Do 2 days a week for as long as it takes for you to consistently hit your 2 days a week.
Right.
Until you're comfortable with that.
And probably don't kill yourself off on cardio immediately, because a lot of people are like, I got to lose this weight. I got to hit the gym. I got to go on the treadmill.
And then all they do is jump on the treadmill.
Yeah, and that's all they do.
Please stay off the treadmill. Or you don't have to stay off the treadmill, but resistance training, in my opinion, is so much more effective than
because then you're because if you put on muscle and can replace that fat with muscle, you're burning calories all day long.
Yes.
You're burning it in your sleep.
More muscle mass
exactly.
equals more burned calories.
Exactly. And rather than just going, look, I'm going to kill myself, and then you damage your joints. You know, people are, aren't exercising poor form. They overexert themselves, and then they just get fatigued, and then they are having trouble recovering.
For sure.
So I think that's a problem too. So.
Yeah. So I would say, just stick with what you can sustain. If it's 2 days a week, that's fine.
Yeah, and then work up to that over time.
From there, and eventually you'll get to where you're like us and you're in there pretty much every single day. Like, I didn't start out going to the gym every single day and enjoying it.
Right.
It's definitely a process that you have to go through.
And other days are worse than others. You're just like, I do not want to
days,
be here.
There's some days where I'm like, I don't
like
want to
today,
get up
I didn't want to get up early because I went out paddleboarding like till
really late.
Yeah, like we started at like 11:30 at night because it was like almost, I think it's a full moon tonight.
Oh, is it?
And so last night it was almost full moon, and we could see, it was just like there's a spotlight up there, and we could see the stars and everything. It was kind of awesome. So we're just like paddling out there in the night. But the only thing that worried us was there was a fishing boat that came by. I'm like, who fishes this late at night? And these guys are spotlighting us, and they're probably going, who paddleboards this late at night? So it was kind of funny, but I was just so hammered from that. I'm just like, I'm going to go later today.
And that's another thing that's really
Listen to your body.
Listening to your body and allowing yourself the time to rest and recover.
Yeah.
Because especially if you're lifting heavy weights, if you're lifting heavy repeatedly every single day, your body is never getting that chance to recover, which is going to stunt your muscle growth. I got
a question about that. So I've heard different philosophies. I've heard other trainers say, look, you don't have to go heavy. I know a guy he's not a pro bodybuilder, but he just works out like a beast. And originally, you probably know, have you seen Beto at the gym ever? Hispanic guy. He's awesome. Real cool, kind of a short guy. He's like really cool guy.
Is he always working out with Kelly?
I can't remember. But anyways, he used to go super heavy. Like he would just like shock his muscles, and he's like, I'm kind of done doing that. And so I wanted to get your philosophy on what you think about that, as far as like, because when I was back, I would probably say about 7 years ago, I was going like really heavy. And part of the problem was that I wasn't working on and training my core, and it was like injuring my back and damaging disc and pulling too much on tendons and things like that. And I would get like rotator cuff issues sometimes just because I would go so heavy. I'd be like, I got to bench 120-pound dumbbells, and I got to like overhead press, these 80, 85-pound dumbbells. And now I'm just like, look, I'm just going to take it easy and still go till fatigued. I'll still push it till I'm like straining to get that last set. But rather than, doing 6 or 8, now I'm going like 10, 12. What's your philosophy on that?
Like you said, there's a lot of different information out there. Me personally, if I'm trying to put on size, I am going to stay in about the 4 to 8 reps. So go heavier if you're trying to put on size. You still think that's fine? Joints, and you do need to give yourself lots of recovery time.
Yeah.
Like at one point, I was only lifting every 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
Because you need that much recovery.
But
time.
You think that shocking the muscle is helping with the size?
Yeah, and you gotta make sure you're eating enough.
Yeah.
And then you've got to be overloading your muscles, and that's going to be a different, weight for everybody.
Which I used to do those. We call them pull-offs, like on bench. We'd do that too, like where you'd start super heavy,
like drop sets.
And drop sets or pull-offs because we're pulling them off.
Yeah.
My kids make fun of me. They're like, Dad, you call everything squeeze-its. The machine like where you squeeze your legs that works your
adductors.
hip abductors. And they're like, why is that a squeeze it? And then, the other one where you're like, for your chest, you squeeze it in like this. I'm like, let's do the squeeze its. And like, you call everything squeeze its. So, but as far as that goes, so as far as maintaining, if someone just wanted to be lean, they want to be shredded, they don't necessarily have to go heavy.
No.
I
think for maintenance, a good rep range is somewhere around 12.
Yeah.
Give or take a few.
Right.
And
so, and obviously if someone's starting out, don't push yourself and go super heavy. Work up to get to heavy.
Yeah.
And then, once you're at that point, if that's your goal, trying to put on muscle versus, just trying to be lean and fit and in shape. Because a lot of people go, look, I don't want to beat my joints up. I don't want to be so hammered that I can't recover, that I'm struggling and I got to work on my whole diet. So next, what I want to know is like, what do you do as far as like diet and nutrition? Share that with people out there watching and what's some information for them.
With bodybuilding, it's always different depending on where you're at and kind of your cycle. Like when you're getting ready for a show, it's pretty restrictive. Like you're mostly eating protein, high protein.
Because they're going into ketosis and they want to burn all that fat away.
Sometimes. Some people, and again, it's very individualized. Like, I handle carbs fairly well, so I don't usually have to cut carbs until very close to the show. Some people do keto kind of the whole time.
Right.
But a common theme would be to slowly cut out carbs and keep high protein and then moderate to high fat.
Okay. What's your thoughts on training, like during training as far as fueling up and when you should be taking carbs?
I stick to keeping my carbs mostly pre and post workout.
Okay.
That way you have some energy for your workout, and then you're helping recover afterwards with your dose of
I
carbs.
used to do that, but lately, I don't eat until like 12 o'clock because I've been doing like intermittent fasting. And at first I was like, oh man, I'm going to be dying at the gym because won't have any energy. But what I found is I'm fine. Like I have plenty of energy during the workouts. And then I'm not even hungry until later, usually because I'll get done about, 9:30, 10 o'clock, and sometimes around 11. So what I found, I think it's like listen to your body, a lot of times. So if you're like starving and you've worked out, that's your body kind of telling yourself that you should eat, get those carbs, get those calories, get that protein and those building blocks in there to repair, your body and rebuild that muscle that you've tore down. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. I kind of like that philosophy, and a lot of people are like, look, listen to your body. Now, there is, part of the problem, with obesity is a lot of people are like, we've heard we've talked about this on the show in the past and there's tons of articles out there, how sugar, it has the same effect on the brain as cocaine, and it's very addictive. So, in that case, don't listen to your body, Like if you're just eating carbs and sugar and junk food, it's like, well, yeah, I need to listen to my body. I should be eating Cheetos and stuff like that. No, like if you're eating healthy and you can get rid of that, and then that's when you listen to your body, like as far as time to eat, time to sleep, rest, recover, all that stuff.
For sure. I think for the average person, I wouldn't worry too much about how much protein am I eating? How much carbs am I eating? Just focus on every meal. You have some protein, some fat, some carbs, and try to eat when you're actually hungry, not when you're bored or you're tired or you're craving sugar. Like, really pay attention to when you feel hungry and try to eat at that time.
Awesome. I like that idea. So, secondly, we have like 4th of July coming up. That's our next holiday.
Yeah.
Lots of cookouts, watermelon, all that stuff. So that's the time to eat healthy, kind of back up. I think it's okay to binge every once in a while. Like I have this friend that's a bodybuilder. You probably heard of James Ellis. So he'll post on his Instagram and stuff, and he'll be like, it's my cheat meal. Oh. And for a while, I don't know if he's still doing it, but he'd like head down to the grocery store or 7-Eleven or whatever, and he'd come back with like 6-8 candy bars, and he'd just like eat candy bars and junk food or whatever on that cheat day. I'm like, yeah, that sounds good. If you can limit it to one day, it's probably a lot healthier. But overall, you'd probably be better off not even consuming all that sugar.
For sure, it would, and it's kind of easier for you, I guess, with especially if you struggle with sugar cravings and stuff like that. That one day a week where you do consume a lot of it,
right?
It's just gonna make you want it more. So if that's something that you struggle with, I would recommend just, you know, if you're having a really strong
Are you doing
craving,
cheat days? Do you do that? Not really.
Right now, I eat pretty much.
Yeah, like when you're training, like when it's getting, not when it's like close to end of competition, but like kind of in the beginning or whatever, when you're just overall training. Do you do cheat meals or anything like that?
Yeah, I usually try to follow my meal plan 6 of the 7 days a week, and then I'll go have one cheat meal.
I think psychologically it's good because you're like, look, I did this, I did so good. It's kind of like a reward. I'm going to reward myself for all the hard work or whatever that I put in during the rest of the week.
But it's also easy to get into that mindset and then just way overdo it, and then you've completely negated everything that you did during the week.
As long as you're not just sitting in front of the TV all day long, shoving down shakes and pizza and cheeseburgers. I always recommend
doing a cheat meal, so you get one meal and that's it, not an entire day, because you can eat a lot of calories in an entire
one day. And kind of negate all that hard work. So
I mean, I've seen people throw down 20,000 calories in a day.
Right. With 4th of July coming up, we usually do like this viral video. This is like a video that I came across. Where did you say that was at? Like
Myanmar?
Yeah, Myanmar. And it was like so basically it's this big festival going on. I thought this was kind of fascinating because I've bought a lot of those Chinese lanterns, but I'm always like afraid to light them off during 4th of July because where I live at, there's a lot of high grass and things like that. And my wife's always like, don't light those off. You're going to light a fire. You're going to light the field on fire. And we've heard of those fighting fires. Right now it's not too bad, which I don't think there's a ban on fireworks in Utah. So, but anyways, I thought this was kind of fascinating, and it gets out of control kind of at the end. So if you want to play that, let's watch that clip. So I mean what crazy is I've had one of those fireworks like been close, like in the stadiums where they'll light them off or something. I had one go off like really close, and there were some people that got injured from it. But that thing was just like boom, coming right at you. But I don't know, I like fireworks. For many times, like when they were illegal here, like the bigger ones, we used to go up to Wyoming and buy them and bring them back here and light them off. So
really,
it's always a good time. Yeah, exactly. I think a lot of people did that. And then you're always paranoid because they were stopping people every once in a while. And it's like, oh man, I got like, $500-$600 of fireworks in my trunk, and I'm going to get pulled over, and they're all going to be confiscated. But anyways, good times. So what are your plans for the 4th of July? Anything coming up?
I don't think we have anything.
Nothing. You mentioned today. I mean, we've talked about this on the show in the past as far as the importance of being active. And you were telling me you were going to hike up to Mount Timpanogos today, to the top.
I'm gonna go camping tonight.
Yeah.
We'll probably hike a little bit once we get there, but we'll start first thing early in the morning and do the trail up to the top of Mount Timpanogos. It's 15 miles round trip. Just want to summit a mountain.
It's 15 miles, but it seems like 100 miles.
Yeah,
like if you've never done it before.
It's probably gonna
So
be a lot
I did
worse
it
than
years
sounds.
ago, and I took my dog, and my dog is old now, but he was like in good shape. Super happy all the way up there. Coming back, he just kept stopping and wanting to rest and didn't want to walk anymore.
So
He was done.
That's actually really funny because we have a small long-haired Chihuahua.
Yeah.
And I want to bring her with us.
And what's her name?
Her name is Acorn. And she does good for a couple miles, and then she's just exhausted.
I got one of those dog backpacks.
I bought
Do
the
you
little
get one?
carrier thing.
Oh, that's
so
funny.
when she gets tired, I'm just gonna throw her in the little.
So
front
I got
carrier
the
thing
one
and
that's
hike
like
with
an
her on my
actual
stomach.
backpack. So like you put them in, you zip them up, and their head pokes out of the back.
Oh, this is one that you put like babies in, like her
Oh,
legs
really?
stick out.
Okay.
And it's
Crazy.
gonna be great. Yeah.
She's gonna like. Well, I let her walk for a while, then she'll be done, and then she'll want to be carried, right?
Yeah.
Funny.
So it's gonna be fun.
So anything else that you want to add? And we talked a little bit about health. Let's talk about like supplementation, like as far as what you do. Are you doing protein supplements? Are you doing anything like that?
I use protein powder maybe once a day.
Okay.
Maybe if
I mean, there's a lot of people that try to replace that, which I don't think is necessarily the best way to go. You know, they'll be like, I'm going to do 3 or 4 protein shakes a day. And I'm like, nah, a little much.
I always recommend eating as much of your nutrients as
As
possible.
getting them from like protein powder or something like that, or a shake.
But people get stuck on protein bars and powders because it's so convenient.
Yeah, exactly. It's easy. It's just like I can get 50 grams of protein in this one shake.
And they taste good most of the time because there's sugar.
Yeah.
So,
or there's artificial
sweeteners.
Yeah. Which still, can cause a problem. It causes an insulin response.
Yes.
And
a
still
lot
can
of
cause you to
digestive
put
upset.
on. Yeah. Exactly. It kills that good bacteria in the gut, and then it also, can cause your body, have difficulty breaking that much protein down at one time.
Mm-hmm.
If these are really high in protein. And then another thing is, the artificial ingredients that are added to those as well, like the flavors, all the other stuff,
and the
colors.
Quality of the whey as well.
Yeah, exactly.
The
That
one
makes
that
a big
I
difference.
use is organic and grass-fed.
Cool.
So
I've seen some pre-digested wheys in the past as well. So I don't know. I think like what you say, it's probably the best is to do one of those a day.
Yeah, I would say
and
most
it's really
one.
because people they're like, I don't know what else to do, or they're like, I don't want to take the time to do meal prep. So what are you usually doing for meal prep?
I mean, when I was doing my shows, like literally everything I ate came out of a container.
Yeah.
And I would prep all of my food for
And
the
how
entire
many times a day
week
were you eating?
on Sunday. I was eating six meals a day. So I would prep all day Sunday and have everything ready to go for the rest of the week. Now that
And then when we're talking, just for people that aren't familiar with like how this works, it's okay to eat that many times a day because you're constantly fueling your body, you're training your body, you're pushing your body. The problem is when you eat 6 times a day, large portions,
there
like
were
big
small
meals. Yeah.
Small meals.
So it's
like
constantly
calories.
keep eating small meals, like exactly 300 calories, 400 calories, depending on your size, how big you are. So
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, meal prep. So now that I'm kind of relaxing a little bit back from that, I try to cook my meals as fresh as possible. But if you're struggling with protein intake and you want to get away from protein bars and shakes, there's always like good grass-fed beef jerky.
Sure.
Hard-boiled eggs, you can buy them in a package. Just throw them on a salad.
Yeah. Chicken.
Chicken.
That requires a little bit more
cooking,
preparation, but I know people for the whole week they'll cook like steaks, pork, everything. They'll just like lay it all out and they'll do a ton of cooking.
Yeah.
Then they'll slice it all up and they'll put it in a whole bunch of containers and they'll do their whole week's worth of food for that whole week on one day.
And it's
like
easy to do big batches in like a crock pot, or if you have a big grill, or actually in the oven, you can just lay it all out on a couple of baking pans and just throw them in there.
Awesome. So let's go back to like supplementation. What do you think is essential that people take?
My essentials are a good multivitamin.
Okay.
a joint supplement of some sort.
That would be the Multiflex, guys. You want to take that one?
Something along those lines, yeah.
Yeah.
And I try to always take a fish oil.
Yeah, I take fish oil. I think that's good. I usually tell people like take, because people are like, what do I take? Now, unless you are dealing with a specific issue, say it's like digestive health, look for some probiotics, go that route. If you're having, some type of disease or health issue or something like that, yeah, there's supplements for that, and there's ways to treat that if you don't want to go traditional medicine. So, I tell people to look for that, but a lot of times people are like, what should I take on a daily basis as a preventative? And exactly, that's why I tell people, look, find a good joint product, because if you're training all the time, you're beating yourself up, you're damaging, you're wearing out your joints, and you want something that helps rebuild that cartilage, something that protects the, replaces the synovial fluid that surrounds the joints, it cushions that, and make sure that you're, taking care of your joint health. And so we have a product that does that called Multiflex. It's amazing, and it's very natural, as bromelain. It's an anti-inflammatory, has like 20 anti-inflammatories in there. We've talked about that in the past on the show, but that one's called Multiflex. Works very well. People notice results right away rather than 30 days to start seeing effects of that product. So, and then fish oil. I take fish oil every day. That's good to keep your arteries and everything moving freely, because you're not going to end up having a heart attack later on in life if you're taking fish oil. It does thin out the blood. It stops the bad cholesterol from building up and lining your arteries and everything. And the number one,
anti-inflammatory as well.
Yeah, exactly, natural anti-inflammatory. And then also what is it, like there's the biggest killer in the United States is cardiovascular disease. It's heart attacks. People are dying from heart attacks because they don't get enough fiber, and they don't they're not taking care of their arteries and everything, and they're eating too much fat. We're eating too much processed food. Which one last thing I wanted to get into is, you were talking, we had a story for this, but we couldn't get it to pull up. But I think it's better that we just talk about it, because I was telling you that how toxic it is on the brain, and how it rewires and kind of makes your brain go haywire when we're ingesting carbs and fats together. That alone, like for example, pizza would be one of those things. It would be just basically carbs and fat, and your body doesn't know how to handle it, and it kind of messes with your brain as well and rewires that. But you were talking about a study or like a documentary that you read. What was that about?
Yeah, it was a thing on Netflix, a whole documentary.
Do you remember the name of it?
I don't, but I can.
Okay,
I can
might
look
post
it up,
it in
and
the
I'll
comments.
post it in the comments
awesome.
later. But one episode looked into why humans like those desserts that have fat and sugar combined instead of like just fat or just sugar. And it's because in nature, with the exception
there's not cheeseburgers and pizza in nature.
In nature, there's the only source of food that has both fat and sugar naturally is breast milk.
Really?
So we're hardwired to want things that are similar to that, because our body recognizes that it's going to help us grow and be healthy. But when it's not a healthy source of the fat and sugar anymore, and we're already into our adult stages of life, we just don't need that anymore.
They should just bottle breast milk.
I'm sure they have.
So anyway, there's goat milk and stuff like that, but it's insane.
In Europe, they have breast milk ice cream.
What?
Yeah, see? Europe is way ahead of us.
Crazy.
And there's like, this is totally not related, but if you're like a mom that's trying to breastfeed, there's all these sites where you can basically donate your breast milk for moms who are struggling.
To turn it into gelato. Right?
For your baby,
Awesome. So anything else you want to add to the show?
I did have one thing to add on about staying active.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to get in shape...
Because that's where I was going, like with the Mount Timpanogos thing. It's like, stay active, do something. Like if you can't make it to the gym, like for example, I didn't make it to the gym yesterday, but I'm like, hey, I'm going to go paddle boarding because I want to stay active. And as long as you're keeping all your joints, that your circulation moving, that blood flow and everything going, you're not going to be running into problems.
Yeah, like increasing your total movement for the day is going to be a lot more beneficial to you than trying to go hardcore on a workout for like an hour.
Yeah, and then doing nothing, like sitting
and
in
then
a
sit
desk
on your
job
butt
or
for the rest of the day. So that, and also if you don't like going to the gym, find something that you do like.
Yeah. Like
it can be
there's all sorts
mountain
of
biking. It can be walking your dog. It can be paddleboarding. You can ski. You can ride your. You already said mountain biking, but you can cycle. You can take cycling classes. You can do yoga. You can try new stuff. Find what you actually like, and then just try to do that more.
Awesome.
But I always do recommend getting some kind of strength training in there. Doesn't necessarily have to be at the gym. You can buy bands and do it at home, or sandbags, whatever you have access to and enjoy. But do it.
Good advice. Well,
so now we have picture story time. I downloaded 3 pictures from Facebook.
Oh gosh.
We got picture story. Oh
no.
There we go. So yeah, tell us what's going on right here.
Okay.
That looks really good. Is that a donut?
Yeah, that is a donut. I have a donut problem.
I love donuts.
So that was actually in Orlando last year.
Okay.
I went to Orlando to do the Savage Race.
Yeah.
Which is an obstacle course race similar to Spartan. It's a slightly longer distance.
It's more intense than the Spartan.
If you're in the Spartan world, it's similar to a Spartan Super. So it's roughly a 10K distance instead of a 5K.
Yeah, my son did one of those a couple of years ago.
But there's really crazy obstacles. And I like to stalk food places on Instagram.
Yeah.
So I had been following this donut place for a really long time.
What's in the middle of it?
That one, that's pretzels.
Oh, it is?
It's pretzels, yeah.
It kind of looked like
it's
caramel
chocolate,
or nuts or something.
It's chocolate with
peanut
butter. That was the chocolate peanut butter pretzel.
Okay, now it's sexy time.
So that was the John Sherman Muscle Beach Classic.
Right here, this one?
Yeah, that's one of my stage shots. That was 2000 and...
That's a good pick.
16.
Who was
That's
the photographer?
Probably my
was there a
favorite
photographer
one.
that did that one?
That one was James Allen, I believe.
Cool.
Same show. That's me with my trophy.
This next shot right here is.
But
and this was the Florida one?
No, that was Galveston, Texas.
Okay.
I won first place at that show in my height class.
Awesome.
And then I was.
That's a good. Yeah, that's a good trophy.
Yeah, and it was really heavy. Like they
Do you
set
drink
it.
out of it?
I should. They set it on the floor.
Yeah.
When you're on stage, and then you take your picture behind it, and then you have to pick it up. And I was like, oh my god, like I almost fell over trying to pick it up because you're in these really tall heels.
It's like she's not so tough after all. She's no bodybuilder.
Okay, I just want to say that on stage, I weigh like 109 pounds.
Wow.
I'm teeny tiny.
Right.
So in this picture, you're 109.
In that picture, I'm like 109
I know,
pounds.
but you would look at that and you're like, dude, that girl looks tall and she's ripped and looks amazing. But then it's like, what? She's not that tall?
Optical illusions,
yeah,
all of it.
It's good. It doesn't matter. I don't think the height or how tall you are matters. What really matters is, how you're taking care of yourself and how you're taking care of your body.
And that was probably one of my favorite preps. I enjoyed most of it.
Cool.
And
it looks like a lot of fun.
I think it showed in how I presented myself on stage and how confident
awesome.
I felt.
Those are all factors that they take into consideration
they
as
do.
well. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you telling us those stories.
Yeah.
Thanks for being
for
on
that
the
surprise
show.
there.
Yeah, no, that was good. We like to keep it real, it's all like raw stuff. So it's not scripted or anything.
Nope,
so.
It is not. I can tell you that because I had no preparation for this.
Right. Awesome. Well, thanks for being on the show. I really appreciate it.
Anytime.
Okay, tune in next time. We should have an amazing guest on as well for you guys next week. Actually, we're going to be talking about supplements. So there's a lot of different things and misconceptions on what people should or should not take. And that's what we're going to be going over next week on the show. So tune in on Wednesdays about 1 o'clock. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being a part of it.
Bye.